Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Ruben, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to review Severance, Season 1. Getting ready for Season 2. It's been a long wait, but not so much for Aaron. I made the point on our last pod that you called it when it came to streaming, and now it's almost like you sensed that there was going to be this big gap for Severance, and you waited patiently. And now it's only been been a few months for you. So I'm not watching another show until you watch it. I'm on the Aaron timeline.
I'm in a drought right now. I can't find anything to watch. I did like 4 episodes of Dune. That kind of sucks. I watched a couple episodes of Squid Game, which is fun, entertaining, but what's that going to get me? Like 3 days? I need to really sink my teeth into something.
Dude, One Piece. There's like 1 million episodes. That would be perfect for you.
It consumes my whole 2024. I watched like 3 movies last year.
They say that, it starts slow, but to me, Luffy, right off the bat, was a great guy. I want to follow him into battle.
Dude, like episode 1000, like it starts getting really good.
All right. Let's get back to Severance here. Yeah, it came out and critically acclaimed. Fans loved it. Were very upset by the wait, but it was something new. It felt very new and fresh. An incredible cast of actors, perfectly cast. And it was a great mixture of comedy and thriller, where it could be very quirky and silly and fun at times. And on rewatch, I kind of forgot how funny it actually was. Like a lot of those interactions between, the characters in the office, but also outside of Lumen, between Mark and his family. But then it could get really psychological and philosophical, and it really delves deep into some of its darker themes. Both of those sides of the coin that the show is crafting never come into conflict with each other. It balances. They're balanced pretty seamlessly. And as I said, being led by Adam Scott, this is like the picture perfect role for him. He's so good at playing a guy in The Office. I loved him as Ben Wyatt in Parks and Rec. It's funny because at times I kept thinking about when Ben gets depressed in Parks and Rec. I'm like, he's literally just Mark. It's the same exact character.
I was like, it's Ben Wyatt if Leslie Knope got hit by a bus.
No, it really is that, dude. Like Mrs. Casey is just his stand-in for Leslie Knope. But and we'll go through the whole cast because all these characters, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to talk about. But yeah, Aaron, let me get your thoughts. Seeing as you watched it a bit more recently for the first time, what was your reaction?
I don't remember anything. So that's going to be tough.
That's fine. I mean, we're not going to get too much into specific. Oh, you got severed?
Yeah, I got severed. Yeah.
Oh, shit, bro. So we need your innie. I'm with your Audi. Your innie won't even know me.
I think about that all the time. Like, I feel like it would be great for me, but the one who like wakes up and has to work and then wake up, go to bed and then wake up again and it's work again, just constant, its whole life is work. I can see why. Like they start to split at the as the show progresses. But for the Audi, I think that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and I do like how because you start to think, would I do this? And when Mark says that, every day just starts over at the beginning of work, but you come in feeling refreshed. But knowing the way people live their lives, if you're severed, and you know that your work self isn't going to remember this shit, going out and getting bombed every night. So like when that first episode, when he walks in and he's sniffling because his Audi was just breaking down over his wife and he doesn't know why he's sniffling. I kept thinking like, what are the things that I'm going to be bringing into work with me that, just being irresponsible.
He's going to think, he must be like a fucking soldier or like a warrior. It's like, nah, he just fell down the stairs again.
Holy shit, I'm Batman.
Yeah. Why am I so sore? I must be doing some cool shit out there. No, not really. Just slipped. But this is one of those like rare shows that it's like I don't think a lot of people have seen it, but like from everybody I've heard talk about it, it just says how incredible it was. It definitely lived up to the expectation. That finale was one of the most intense things I might have ever watched. It's just an hour of pure fucking adrenaline. It's rare to kind of have a show elicit those type of feelings while you're watching at the edge of your seat and be so well crafted as it is, because it really was just one of the best finales I think I've ever seen. Everybody I've recommended it to, that's one of like my things. Like I one of my selling points is like, let me know when you watch the finale, and it's always hit for everybody I've recommended it to. the idea is unique. The settings, the way they kind of portray everything inside of the office, it's just kind of like this Elseworlds type of environment where everything just seems a little off, where it is recognizable as like an office environment. You said at your work, but everything is just a little too weird in there, which makes for a great contrast between everything that's going outside in the real world. That's one of the things that drew me in. It's kind of like that show, you saw Maniac, right?
No, I never watched Maniac.
Okay, like there's some parts in that show where I think that's a little bit more absurd as a whole, but where they use things like just the way the characters act and how they put on a portrayal that's not really what they are, and the light shows and the dance parties, like just this really weird stuff injected into the show that I really dug. And there's a great YouTube video. I hate like referencing something and not being able to give proper credit, but kind of like breaks it down even further with like the red and the blue and stuff like that. That's really interesting if you're a fan of the show. Probably if you type in like Severance, like explained on YouTube, you'll find it. But when you dig deeper, there's so many other layers to the show that just makes it even better upon reflection. So I'm definitely excited for season 2. I mean, we've talked about like our worries, maybe having a Westworld problem. Like, what do we do now that we left the park? You know, what do we do now that the curtain's been unveiled for some of these characters? But everything we're hearing so far is that it's just as good, if not better, than season 1. So
yeah, the reviews so far are saying that it's a bit darker and it delves deeper into some of these themes and leaves behind some of the comedic aspects, but to positive effect. And to your point about the uncanny feeling that you get when you're watching them inside Lumen, you're seeing them essentially suppress parts of their personality, and then they manifest in ways that are similar but a bit off. And I think Irvin is the best example of that, where we see him outside of Lumen, he's an artist. And inside of Lumen, he's like a fundamentalist, but he still has that culture where he likes all the paintings that they decorate the office with, even though it's the reoccurring story of Egan and his life and how he founded Lumen. So you were quite literally, you know, when Mark says, oh, it's really working well for me because I get to forget for 8 hours. And then we see Mark outside of the office and he's a mess. Like, that is not working for you, brother. And it's so obvious to everybody in your life that this is only making things worse. Yeah, and the metaphors are very extreme, the work-life balance. It's not very subtle, the way that we can compartmentalize parts of our life, and specifically when it comes to work, that you become, for some people, an essentially a different person. It's a totally different life, and the way that your job likes to say, we're all a family, we're all in this together, they do treat it like it's a religion, and that the boss, or in this case, the founder, is God. So the way that they play with that, and then all the reveals, that's the thing, because there's a lot of mystery there, but then there isn't, because we're in on it, that they're severed and that the rest of the world is in on it. It's a very controversial issue that people are debating politically. But then the reveal of, well, when Heliar tries to take her own life and then she sees that video from her outside self. Well, no, actually that probably happens before she tries to take her life. But that was so bone-chilling. Because she's so rebellious, she's so desperate to get out of this situation. Once you realize how her Audi feels about it, it zaps the life out of you. It's just so defeating. And then the reveal at the very end that she's a member of the Egan family, that she's essentially the heir apparent. That was mind-blowing. The fact that inside of this character are two people so in conflict, and then they're the same person. And then the race against the clock at the end there, like you said, it was nail-biting with Mark saying, she's alive! And that's the last scene of the season. Just thinking about it is taking my breath away. So that was all handled perfectly. You know, the build-up, the reveals, the way that they tackled these themes. And then the characters themselves are very likable. And I like how they kept the cast. It feels like Parks and Rec or The Office, where they look like people that would work in an office. You know, there's no, like, except Miss Casey. Miss Casey's fine as fuck. But everybody else kind of looks...
I think they make one of those Office TikToks this season.
Oh, dude, they really should. That would be a fun little spoof.
But
Is that a thing on TikTok? People doing Office TikToks?
Yeah, you know, Gen Z boss in a mini. They were probably filming during that time.
You need to tap out, bro.
I can't. I need to fucking sever my fucking head off.
Social media.
But yeah, I mean, the contrast between, it's interesting because obviously you have the characters trying to escape something and they use it as a tool, like a therapeutic tool to kind of whether it's obviously with Mark dealing with the death of his wife or whatever it may be, there's a reason for their severing to escape the real world. Whereas with the character like Helly, it's an intentional, it's for her own gain. So maybe they have something to say there about like your intentions going into it. Maybe it affects the way that your innie presents itself. So yeah, there's so many, I think, layers to dive into these characters. And I think that's what it did a great job at, just diving into these different characters and their backstories and their situations and kind of building their characters through both the outside and the inside. Even though they are kind of two separate people, they are one and the same.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. You're pretty good at this, man, because the way that it manifests, it's like the opposite of who they are on the outside. On the outside, Mark is miserable. On the inside, he's a bit more cheery, Mr. Camaraderie, trying to rally the troops. Irving on the outside, he's an artist, which is the ultimate expression of freedom. And on the inside, he's very obsequious, essentially the teacher's pet, sticking to the rules. But very slowly, those outside personality traits start seeping in, quite literally, for Irving. Helly R on the outside is a corporate freak. On the inside, she's rebelling against this evil corporation. And Dylan, assumingly on the outside, he looks like he could be a family man. On the inside, he's, your typical bachelor Chad, where he thinks he's way funnier than he actually is. I actually think Dylan's really funny. He might be my favorite character.
This is inappropriate workplace commentary, and I'm self-reporting you.
You're reporting me to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think Milchick is my fucking favorite character. That guy is just, every time he's on the screen, like Kobol's great too, but just that smile, the sinisterness behind it, because you know what he's doing and what he's a part of and what he's allowing to take place. And when he turns it, when they bring him into, what do they call the room? The
break room.
It's just chilling. It's such a great performance, but like, that's like my favorite type of character, the creepiness behind that big, bright smile that looks so welcoming, but it's just the opposite.
Yeah, I think Tremel Tillman is a handsome man. So you see him and he's well put together. He's got the beard and the look, but he's literally playing good cop and bad cop in one character. Because all these characters, they're dealing with the duality of being a person. But so is Milchick, because the way he flips that switch from, like you said, being very welcoming and gentle with them, and then he becomes the brutal enforcer, working under Cobell's thumb. So no, he might be the best character of the show because of just how his presence when he shows up into one of these scenes, you want to stand at attention, like he's a fucking general. But he can also, just be very, very lovely and funny. Like when they have the dance party, he's really going for it.
I fucking love that scene. And even like their like prizes are so fucking weird.
The little perks, like the fucking the finger trap.
Yeah. Or the melon.
Dylan's obsessed with that.
Yeah. And the big thing's the waffle party.
Please refrain from boasting about previously earned waffle parties.
Feeling attacked?
That's a thing. Like,
oh, yeah.
You got to take, like, in the Innie's perspective, they never had McDonald's. Then they don't know what ice cream is, maybe.
Yeah, and all the food is Lumen branded.
Yeah. Never played COD, so finger traps probably. This is amazing.
Well, it really is like an idea you can sit with and think like, well, they did it with Bert and Irving, which I think is one of the loveliest romantic relationships I've seen play out. I can't remember how the last time I was this moved by two people who are clearly in love with each other but can't be with each other.
What a strange show, like, for Christopher Walken to have, like, I mean, obviously he's been around for so long and he's given many performances, great performances, but like, he's really fucking good in this. And it's like, I
know, yeah.
Yeah, like one of his better performances I can remember of late is just when he's, 80-something years old on an Apple TV show. Like when he's retiring, that was fucking heartbreaking.
No, yeah, it really was. But my point was going to be like, how often do people fall in love with another innie? And they're sneaking off and fucking each other's brains out. Because that's got to be happening within the Lumen office.
Oh, yeah. It's like I say, you have a work wife, but like you might actually have a fucking work wife. No,
at this point, it's like that's the only time you're going to get some. Like, is that cheating? I don't know.
We can leave that up to the divorce lawyers to decide.
Yeah, we'll let God settle that. But even, when they sneak off and they want to have that private moment and Irvin is still so nervous because you know that your life in here is going to end before your Audi's life. So you just know that there's no possible future for you guys together. And then when Irving sees Bert's life outside of Lumen, it's heartbreaking for him. So those are the questions that the show naturally inspires. Your mind starts going down this rabbit hole of all the different ways that this can fuck with a person. And with Mark, he's the only one that you get a good look of what he's like outside and inside. So Adam Scott gets the chance to really go into his acting bag, and he really is convincing as two different people. Like when he's Mark Scout, he's miserable to be around. And I love the relationship that he has with his sister, that's really the only friend he truly has in the outside world. But my goodness, some of those interactions he has with people, like his love interest or at that fake dinner, he's so awkward and mean and rude and just a bore to be around. And it's heartbreaking for that character. And then Mark S., in the inside, you just want to pinch his cheeks. He's like adorable. He's just a good, he's a Boy Scout. He's following the rules, but as the season builds, he begins to rebel more and more, and it has a lot to do with Heliar. And their relationship was great to watch as well. And also, when Pete leaves work, that has a big impact on Mark, because he's devastated. It is like losing a friend, somebody who's died. He's someone that I always liked as an actor, but I didn't realize he was this talented. Like, the dude can act.
Oh yeah, he's very good. I think like one of the strongest things the show does is like those moments when the characters, whether it be Mark on the outside talking to what's his name, the guy who got severed, that like came to his
Petey.
Petey, yes. Like those moments when the outside world and connect with people who know or have been severed. The atmosphere, like it just creates like such a, I don't even know how to describe it, such a like vivid atmosphere that like just kind of just changes the tone very subtly, but it's so apparent even when the innies break out and they're experiencing their lives on the outside for the first time. But the way it's presented is just in such a almost surreal, even though it's real life. It's like these subtle switches that create such a uneasiness. Like these characters are like, you feel like you're in their shoes experiencing something completely foreign to them, but also knowing that this is who you are.
It's like the sensation of having evil eyes on you. You don't know where that person is, but somebody's looking at you. And you're just waiting for them to come out of the dark and scare the fucking shit out of you. Because that's the thriller aspect and the corporate conspiracy. Like Colble's character, the way that she's playing it, she's on top of everything inside of Lumen and outside of Lumen. She's keeping her eyes on Mark. And Patricia Arquette's also like kind of sexy in this role. I enjoy how competent she is. Even though it's kind of all falling apart, she is like, she doesn't really depend on anybody else. The person she depends on most is herself, because she's even got her own little battles going on with the board. And I think that, that builds a lot of intrigue going into season 2, because it's just so many layers, so many things going on. Like, why is she so obsessed with Mark? And, how does he really fit into the big picture here along with his wife?
Yeah, just always like throughout that whole sequence is like you just feel like something's not right, and it's like everything around him is normal, but you're experiencing it through the character's perspective, where he could be on fucking Mars. Yeah, no, you don't trust the ground that you're standing on. Like at any point it could cave in, even though it is real life. But because it's so tense and there's all these conspiracies and all this mystery, and that's part of it. That's why you get severed, because you don't want to know. But like when he's talking to Petey and Petey plays him the recording of Mark in the break room, my first instinct would have been, I need to quit this job immediately. And it goes to show how damaged Mark is, that even after learning, he keeps learning new and more things, more fucked up things about working at Lumen, and he still doesn't quit. But that for me was, I don't know if it's the scariest moment of the season, but to know that you've been tortured and can't remember it, especially in that way, because yeah, it's physically exhausting, but psychologically, to be put through that, to have to say that fucking thing 1,000 times. And I love Dylan's strategy of you just have to think about something you're truly sorry for. And he's like, I have a threesome with 2 MILFs, but I feel bad for their husbands.
I like to imagine my Audi's love made with a MILF or two, which is obviously badass, but I do pity the husbands.
But yeah, no, it's those moments when you get to peel back, when you get to see what's behind the looking glass, what's behind the curtain. You almost don't want to. You want to look away. It's like, yeah, you want to know, but you don't, because of how uncomfortable it fucking makes you feel. And those moments, they never fall flat. I think that's what's so amazing about this first season, is that I don't think it's the best season of television ever, but I do think it's the best first season because of the way they set it up, the way they built it, the way that they crafted these characters. Like I said, it's funny, it's smart, it's thrilling, and then it leaves you with a perfect cliffhanger. Like, that is the perfect cliffhanger, where you get Mark learning that she's alive and he gets to tell his sister and then cut to black. It's like, holy shit, where the fuck does this go now? But we've already learned so much. This is amazing. I love this show. I loved it so much more on rewatch. And and the look of the show, very modern. It kind of feels like the way that it's blocked and framed, like a puzzle that's being put together. And Ben Stiller, I know he directed I think like 4 or 5 of these episodes. Underrated as a director, Tropic Thunder, one of my favorite movies. The look of the show is it's perfect. It's perfectly lifeless.
Right. It's like a modern house that just, it looks nice, but like when you really think about it, it's like empty,
Oh, yeah, no, it's like the typical YouTuber who blows up and buys a house.
Yeah.
And it's just all white couches. And yeah, it's just like you said, it doesn't feel very homely. This doesn't feel homely whatsoever. But it's also like it's a video game with them mapping it out and trying to find the different levels. The conspiracies between them and O&D were really funny, that both sides think that they're cannibals.
Yeah, and there's so much more, like, obviously with the reveal, it's obviously, like we said before, like, what's next? Like, what do we do now? But I still think there's a lot to kind of unpack here, especially with like the broader scope of Lumen, like, and everybody that's been severed. Like, what are they actually doing? Like, what does the codes mean? What's the actual objective of the company and stuff like that? So it's like, we've already seen the review, so we know it didn't just fall off a fucking cliff. So it'll be interesting to see like how deep they get into something and like what other doors they open.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't remember when it's revealed that Mrs. Casey is Mark's wife, because we find that out before he does, right? And I think that there's a moment
we see a picture
when they pass.
Of them.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now, episode 7. Yeah, so that moment when they walk past each other going to the break room and she's coming out, it's like those moments are so tense, because it's like we know that they're a couple, and it's that question of subconsciously, do they know? And they like to play with that. They like to tease the audience, the way that they brush past each other. And like, there is something here. We can't quite put a finger on it. And Petey says it, that even though you can't remember, it still impacts you. You still bring that shit home with you.
Well, we're going to come to an interesting place where it's like, who do we root for? Maybe if the innies rebel against the Audis, like which which consciousness do you want to take over and be like the actual, unless you can kind of merge them. But I feel like there's a route they can go where you're essentially killing off half of your favorite character across the board, the whole office. And obviously I feel like besides Mark, we're drawn to more of the other characters innies, because that's who we kind of got to know more. But there's an avenue there for some real tragedy, except for Helly. Obviously her Audis kind of sucks, so that's like the one that you kind of are rooting for. But I feel like there's a scenario where there could be a time where you kind of got to pick which part of your brain are you going to let live.
Well, that's why the reviews for season 2, I'm excited that it's getting positive reviews, but now I'm scared, because I'm like, who's getting picked off in that way? Who's going to be psychologically ran through the ringer? I mean, they already kind of are, but like you said, where you lose those memories, it's like you're losing an entire person. I do wonder if there's a way where, because when Petey got reintegrated, I think that's what he called it, that didn't kill him, or she said that not following her instructions killed him. But the way that his memories were sort of morphing together and overlapping, where he couldn't really tell where he was at any time, that to me made it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense that would happen, because it's like really hard to parse that together, right? All of a sudden you have these new memories, how do you remember to remember them if you never experience them? You know, you get into a weird place with memory. Like, is it the memory or is it the experiences? Like, can you just implant memories? I guess you can. Or I guess because their innies experienced it, it becomes like this thing where now it's your memory. It's, you know, it's complicated. You know, we need Teddy to watch this. He'll figure it out.
He would get severed immediately. But his personality would be exactly the same.
Teddy M. Oh, boy. Yeah, coming into season 2, we have Gwendolyn Christie, who is playing a Lumen employee. So when you talk about Milchick being intimidating, God, I can't imagine what they're going to have her doing. 6'2" Gwendolyn Christie walks into the room. And then also John Noble has a role where it hasn't been said who he's playing or what his character does. He's another creepy motherfucker. And then there are going to be a few more, I think, workers in the office.
Shout out to Apple Plus for making me have to stay subscribed for another couple months.
I know, dude. I'm always like, I need to cancel it and then resubscribe when there's something I want to watch, and I never do it. They're just fucking robbing me blind.
Steve Jobs is probably smiling in the
Bro,
ground.
if I was Dylan and I found out I had a kid, I'd be like, yep, I'm done.
Yeah, no, that's fucking scary. Like, you have a whole ass kid at home that you don't know anything about. Like, when like when he shows up in his fucking home, like that would have fucking freaked me out. It's like seeing a teacher at the grocery store. Like, Milchick's not supposed to be out in the real world.
Yeah, Milchick can't live. He can't survive outside of Lumen. And the way he was mean to his kid, I'm like, God, you fucking suck all the time.
Yeah, but he got a waffle party.
It better be Belgian waffles.
Was it waffle or pancake?
Oh, waffle.
Waffle, yeah.
On rewatch, I found Rickon to be so funny. I forgot how ridiculous he is as a parent, where he's got their kid 3 different beds, so it's easier for the kid to transition to a bigger bed as he grows, because it can mess them up if you remove the bed abruptly. But then it's his book, it's his self-help book that ends up cracking the code for a lot of them, where he's like the Karl Marx of this universe, but he's just Rickon. Just like a jolly, fun-loving guy.
Yeah, even when he's at that party and he's like what I was kind of talking about before, just like, I really don't know how to describe it. I wish I was smarter, but like, he's just a fish out of water around his own friends and family. And it's just like, but it doesn't play out like your typical like amnesia type of situation, or like a Harry Potter where they put the spell to look like somebody else and they're kind of interacting with everybody who knows who they are on the outside, but obviously it's Harry or Ron. It's just such a uneasiness that surrounds it, and it really is one of the most intense like hours of television.
No, it's like trading places, but with yourself. You've stepped into this environment where at first he thinks his sister is his wife, and then he's being asked something by those 2 friends, and he goes, she's my sister? And one of them goes, yeah, that's his sister, so you shouldn't tell him what to do. And he's slowly putting together the pieces. Or the conversation with Rickon when he's like, are we friends? He's genuinely asking, like, he doesn't fucking know. And to Rickon, that's it makes him a little bit emotional because their relationship is a bit rocky. Yeah. So yeah, it was really fun to see him try and figure that out. And I think it's new. Like, I can't really think of, like, you're yourself. So it's just an added element of, I have to keep my cool because they all know me, but I don't know them. It's just a mind fuck. Yeah, we're going to need somebody smarter.
Yeah. No, I think I got it. It's like being really, really high and thinking to yourself, like, everyone here knows I'm high, but they don't. You think they...
I think that's it.
You keep smelling yourself. Like, do I smell? Like, are my eyes red? Like, it's like a constant paranoia that nobody around you even notices.
Well, they could do the meme like, oh, they don't know I'm Mark S. And all the people partying are like, that's Mark S. Like, he is Mark S. But they don't know I'm Mark S.
I was going to do fucking numbers on the Severance Reddit.
So there's just a lot of interactions like that where it does at times feel like a situational comedy. And, with Ben Stiller at the helm of a lot of these episodes, you expect that it is going to be funny. But I think for some people that I've recommended it to, they don't realize that it's supposed to be funny. I think they're just sort of, they like it, but they're weirded out. And I'm like, you can laugh a little. Some of these it's clearly being satirical and having fun with the office setting and the work-life balance. It's not all super serious. A lot of it's just a fun commentary on what it's like to work in corporate America and the ways that it can, the way that you compartmentalize those parts of your life. But yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, I do think this is the best season 1 in the history of television. It is that good. And I almost went back for a third rewatch when I finished it. I was like, shit, I'm in the mood for Severance. So I can't wait to dive into season 2.
Yeah. And like even like the first scene of the first episode, when Helly wakes up, the questions they're asking her and she can't remember her mother's eyes color. It just like sets the tone for the entire series, or just the idea of being in your own body, but not remembering such a core memory that I think everybody holds in their minds, but just not being able to grasp it. And that realization of like where she is and how she got here and what's going on, and her figuring it out for those first couple episodes where you're kind of in her shoes, where everybody else is already established in this environment. And it's like, yeah, of course she's acting this way. Like anybody would, but to them, it's just normal.
Right. Yeah. And then, Mark even says at the beginning, I threatened to kill the guy who was over the intercom, but over the years, he's learned to be able to live with it. And I think that shows that in the beginning, when you're trapped, it's very easy to rebel. But once you're conditioned...
What do they get paid?
I was wondering that too, yeah. Are they getting paid good money to do this? I hope they are.
Like if I woke up every morning, drove to an office building, and then snap of a finger, I'm back in my car, leaving the office, and I'm making like, what, $250 a year? I think I'll be pretty happy. Yeah, sweet, that was easy. This job rules.
Yeah, blink and it's over. It's not bad. But I kept, with Helly's defiance, I kept thinking like, would I be that defiant? And I don't know. I think I'd be one of these suckers who eventually just gives up.
Well, you got to assume that like your innie would be like your base, like who you really are as a person, without any of the memories of the outside things that kind of maybe change your worldview or opinions or how you act or interact with people. It's kind of like a clean slate, but still who you are at a base level. And for me, I honestly don't know what the fuck that is at this point. I would probably just be like, I would probably just be like, all right, I guess. But who knows? Maybe at my core, without all these outside noise, I would have been like, yo, fuck this. I'm breaking out of here, Rambo style.
Well, as a wise man once said, you can try to change, but that's just the top layer. You was who you was before you got there.
Like an onion.
Just like an onion. Yeah. Yeah, there was one more point I wanted to make, but now I can't. Oh, yeah, no, I wanted to ask, we'll end this review. Any guesses on what they're doing? That seems to be the big question. And is Mrs. Casey a clone? I don't think they're going to do clones because they reference it in the very first scene that Helly is not a clone. I think that would be kind of stupid.
Maybe they're mining Bitcoin?
They're just fucking getting rid of all the evidence of how damaging it is to the environment to mine Bitcoin and process AI.
Or what would be the funniest thing they're doing?
Yeah, like something not consequential whatsoever.
Yeah. Like there's no reason to do this. You just did all this just to be a dick. I don't know. I feel like it's got to be. Yeah, it's. I really can't wrap my head around it, but I feel like when they reveal it, it's gonna make sense.
I was gonna do like a deep dive on Reddit and see. I'm like, somebody's figured it out. I just need to find out who.
Someone dying and they're harvesting their organs, but like, what? How does that connect to fucking seeing these weird patterns in a computer screen?
Yeah, I mean, I always go with this angle, and I kind of don't want them to do it because I feel like so many shows, not zombies, but doing the whole like we're separating people based on who we think is going to be a threat and who isn't type of thing. Like we're severing the world, like so that we don't have to give everybody this procedure to be compliant and to be under our thumb. We're trying to figure out the people that are most easily manipulated. We're trying to weed out the Helly R's in favor of the Mark S's. But that to just saying it sounds really dumb, and I hope it's it could be something where it's just like not even that cool of a reveal. Like that was never the point.
Yeah,
but I hope it's cool.
Yeah,
I hope it's something mind blowing. If it's not, then the show's a waste of time. I never should have watched it.
Fucking Ben Stiller if I see him at a Knicks game.
Oh my god!
No, if it ends up sucking.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he's already got a. Looks like he's got a season pillow, so he's good for now.
I saw a lot of people hating on Ben Stiller being a leading man in the early 2000s. I was like, what was wrong with Ben Stiller? I thought he made a couple of good pictures.
Ben Stiller is somebody the older I get, the more his old shtick annoys me.
Damn, you're one of them too, huh?
Yeah. Great in Dodgeball.
I mean, I love Meet the Parents, Zoolander. Yeah, no, maybe you're right.
I was watching Along Came Polly when he does this little stupid dance. I just want to punch him in the face.
Well, I got your back, Ben. Us Ben's got to stay together. All right, Aaron, thank you for joining me on this review, and you will be back. We both will be back for Severance Season 2, so be on the lookout for that. We'll decide how we're going to review it, if it makes sense to go week to week, because I know these episodes, sometimes they run about 45 minutes, but yeah, no, we'll probably go week to week. So be on the lookout for that, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you watched Severance? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you excited for Season 2? Do you think that Karl Anthony Towns is the second best center in the NBA? Let us know. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.